This is Ron Snyder aboard the Holson Miss Madison. Here you see the Joe Ritchie Spirit of America heading out, and 3A is on deck. 4 boats, all piston engines in this particular race. The Joe Ritchie Spirit of America looking good for the final, and now a lot of boats fighting to get enough points to get in to the final heat. All 4 boats running as they come under the Madison-Milton Bridge down the main straightaway, and here we go. It's the Holson Miss Madison on the inside, and the Bud Griffin in lane number 2. The boat's going past the dock of the Joe Ritchie Spirit of America, but where's their boat? Tom DeEath, after a great first and second in the 2 earlier heats, now struggling along. He's got some sort of a problem, but the boat is still running and trying to get points as we go into the first turn. The Bud Griffin and Scott Pierce out of Seattle in lane number 2. And a good job by Ron Snyder out of Piqua, Ohio, driving the host boat, trying to hold on to lane number 1. But there's the horsepower of that Budweiser Griffin engine, almost 3,000 horse, as it goes rolling down the back chute, churning up the water better than any boat out there, as a matter of fact. A huge skid fin on it, and it really churns up the water. Back in 3rd place is the Cellular One of Louisville with Todd Yarling aboard from Hanover, Indiana. You see the water coming up, hitting the rear wing of the Budweiser just slightly. The skid fin throwing the water up there near the wing. But coming down the main chute, first time, lap number 1, again, only a 3-lap heat, is Scotty Pierce and the Budweiser Griffin. Carol Hughes from the Holson Miss Madison. She's become quite a popular figure, always counting the laps by tying a knot in that rope she holds on to. That's her boat there as the Holson Miss Madison goes by, and this is Scotty Pierce and the Budweiser Griffin. This boat destined to go back to Seattle for a little bit of work, and then we'll see it again in Tri-Cities, Washington, and in Seattle in a few more weeks. 2nd place, Ron Snyder, the veteran out of Piqua, Ohio. This is his crew chief talking to him. Basically telling him where Todd Yarling is on the race course so he knows he can take it easy as they go down the back chute. But it should be an easy 400 points for this man, Scott Pierce, who missed the national title by only 700 points last year as he drove the Executive Telephone, finally losing out to the Miller American. Ron Snyder aboard the Holson Miss Madison did not drive in 1985, did in 84 in this boat, did a whale of a job. And, of course, Ronnie put on a great show down in Miami this year. But the Budweiser Griffin picking up 400 points coming by the start-finish line, and the Holson Miss Madison will get 300 second-place points. And here are the final 2 boats going by, the Joe Ritchie Spirit of America and the Cellular One of Louisville. Ron Snyder, 2nd place, Holson Miss Madison. And the Spirit of America looks like it may be done for the day. No. Tom DeEath trying to get the boat going somehow. Now he's got a stack fire. You might remember a couple of years ago when Mickey Riemann was driving this boat of Miami, a huge stack fire much like this. Those Merlin engines can be pesky at times. Here's the Budweiser coming around the turn near the Madison-Milton Bridge one more time, and that'll do it. His day is almost complete. He'll pick up those 400 points and then head into the final heat to meet probably the Budweiser German, the Miller American, and we'll see who else gets into the final. Scott Pierce, the winner of Heat 3A. Looks like Tom DeEath finally gave up. Well, what's a guy to do? He's already got a 1st and a 2nd today. He's waving the flags. Looking at the results, the Budweiser Griffin in good shape with 1,000 points today. The Holson Miss Madison, Cellular One of Louisville getting 3rd place points, and the Joe Ritchie failing to finish. Down to the pits.
Scott Pierce, congratulations on your victory in this preliminary heat. What about your competition? When did you know that the Joe Ritchie Spirit of America wasn't on your tail?
Oh, I saw him when the 1-minute gun fired, and I saw that he just got up on a plane, and he made a mistake by not cutting across the track and trying to pick up the start. He went around the turn down here, and of course that's what the referee said, so I'm sure Tom was just following instructions, but didn't break my heart any. We needed a win for Budweiser, so.
Bernie, he's doing very well. Now, what about it? You think he's getting the Griffin, the hang of the Griffin?
Oh, I believe he is. I think they're going to grow up together.
Well, the Bud was looking for Joe Ritchie. Were you looking for him, too, knowing he was back?
I wondered where he was at. I'd seen him when I left, and he was still on the trailer, and I just wondered what was going on with him.
I'd say Ron Snyder looks a little tired. So do a few others. Looks like Chip Hanauer's very warm. We've got an R-rated race here. Back in a minute. Jim Hendrick, Lou Gellos here at Madison, Indiana. The Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup as the drivers strap up for this, the final preliminary heat. No problem with the starts to take it out onto the course. Miller American firing up. That's Doug Ford on the left, the pit referee, making sure the boats get out and on a plane by the 1-minute gun. Bernie Little talking with his driver, Jim Cropfield, in the Budweiser turbine. And the Miller is running, but the Aboy Alberta, we understand, is still having its problems and is drifting out onto the course. They've got to hurry up or we're going to have problems.
Go red if they can't get him out of the way.
All right, if he can't move, the 7-11 and the other boats will have to come back in. And yes, we do have a red flag. So it looks like the heat is certainly taking its toll on at least one boat.
That's right, Don. The heat and humidity certainly is a factor. Here in the pits, if it's 95 or higher out there, it's certainly warmer here because of the concrete, the heat radiating up from that. That's why you see a lot of the drivers standing around the finger piers. It's a lot cooler when you're around the water. Driver Jim Cropfield said this is the hottest he's ever been. Steve Reynolds says he's glad for the new format, which means 3 laps instead of 5, because in that warm cockpit, he says he didn't think he could drive 5 laps. So heat and humidity definitely a factor.
So looking at Heat 3B, you have only 3 boats, and all 3 turbines will be running in this one. This should be a gem. As all 3 are running for the start, the 7-11 is way back. They've had fuel problems, but you see the Budweiser turbine in lane number 1 and the Miller American in 2nd place. In 3rd is the 7-11. Running much better now. Let's see if Reynolds can catch up with the pack. But Jim Cropfield trying to run away from the Miller American down the back chute. Oh, walking left and right on the sponsons as he goes down the back straightaway. It can be tricky back there, as we said earlier in the broadcast. And now as they hit into the 2nd turn, the Budweiser still holding on to lane number 1. You can see behind the rooster tail of the Budweiser, the Miller American coming up, and now Cropfield, a rather cagey driver, will probably try to swing out as wide as he can to force the Miller American to go even farther. Nice move by Cropfield as he now comes down the main straightaway, trying to gain valuable seconds on the Miller American. Cropfield and the Budweiser turbine trying to beat for the first time in '86 the Miller American turbine, both with roughly 2,650 horsepower, a Lycoming 7 turbine engines, and so far Budweiser first place after lap number 1. Speed 126 miles per hour. The Miller at 124.3. Again back into the first turn. It's a 2-boat race so far.
Close call in the final heat. The Miss Budweiser turbine almost flips over, but will finish the heat just behind the Miller American. The championship run went as expected. The Miller American wins it.
American swing around the outside in lane number 2. Hanauer now accelerating down the back chute, running away from the Budweiser. 1 and 2, the Miller American. Hanauer and Cropfield in the Budweiser turbine. Both boats going at better than 150 miles an hour down the back straightaway. Look at Cropfield holding on to lane number 1 as they go into the turn again. Nice positioning. Both drivers very experienced at deck-to-deck racing. And Cropfield trying to catch him again with the Miller American. These two have been rivals since 1982 when Cropfield came up from driving Grand Prix boats. The famed Country Boy Grand Prix Hydro. He really did a great job in that boat. Hanauer, on the other hand, a 32-year-old trying to get his 20th career victory here. If he does, he will be one of only 3 drivers to have done it. The other being the late Bill Muncy and Dean Chenoweth of Budweiser fame, and Muncy, of course, of Atlas Van Line's fame. Right now, Chip Hanauer, though, coming around past the bridge one more time. Again, a great race, and now it's a sprint to the finish line. Budweiser in lane number 1, Miller American lane 2. Hanauer with a slight edge as they come down. Here comes Chip Hanauer with another 400 points in the checkered flag. First place, Miller American. Second place, Budweiser turbine. Our best race of the day. So our final heat is just about set. Miller American and the Budweiser turbine in good shape. They will make the final, and we will have that and our Mercury update right after this timeout. And from Dayton, we move to the south, back to Madison, Indiana. The rundown for the final heat, and conspicuous by its absence, the 7-11 turbine. We understand they have their fuel problems ironed out, but we will not see that boat again until Evansville, Indiana. There's the rundown, and we will have that final heat for you in just a moment. Heat is at hand here at Madison, and they will go 5 laps rather than 3. And let's see how some of the drivers feel about it in this horrible heat.
Hopefully, by maybe the beginning of the 4th lap, whoever has the lead, I think, will start backpedaling a little bit. 3 laps, though, you just go hard all 3 because there's really no time to take care of, save the equipment. 5-lap race, maybe there's a little more time. You can be a little more gentle on the equipment.
We finally got a break. This first time in 4 years we made a final in Madison. You might know, apparently we're not going to get the power. Our carburetor is taking a big dump on us.
Everyone's going to have to drive a little harder, but at the same time, you have to be conservative. You know, you say, well, gee, that sounds like it's going against each other, but it's not. You have to drive as hard as you can and still maintain your equipment and your body especially.
Well, now we've got the race setup back in the boat, so we're just hoping that everything, all the adjustments that we made are all the correct adjustments, and we're going to give it our best and try and get the Joe Ritchie in first place.
And everyone's going to put their killer whammy combination in the boat and go for broke. You know, it doesn't make any difference to me if we finish, you know, last or second. I mean, I want to win or nothing else, so we're just going to go for everything that we have to put into the deal, and I'm sure that the other fellows are going to do the same.
So here again are the drivers. Todd Yarling in his first final in Madison in 4 years. Tom DeEath in his first final this year. Last time we saw him was in Seattle of '85. Scott Pierce with maybe the killer whammy set up in the Budweiser Griffin. Jim Kropfeld in the Budweiser Turbine out to challenge the next man, that being Chip Hanauer and the Miller American. All 5 boats are running for this 5-lap final. The first heat today where we have gone the distance of 5 laps, something the drivers are more accustomed to. And here they come down the main straightaway, ready to start. The 7-11 was the alternate boat. It will pull onto the infield. And here we go for the start, the final of the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup. Bernie Little with 2 boats in the final as they go into the first turn. The Joe Ritchie Spirit of America with a great start. Tom DeEath, the driver there, as he holds on to lane number 2. The Budweiser Griffin in lane number 1 as they come out of the turn and go down the choppy backstretch here on the Ohio River. The 1986 Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup. And Tom DeEath has given it all. You saw the Budweiser Griffin. Third place is the Miller American.
Stand on it. Get on the Bud. Let's go.
The Bud Griffin crew chief trying to fire up his driver, Scotty Pierce. Miller crew watching from the pits. And that's the Griffin on the right. The Joe Ritchie Spirit of America on the left as they come into the second turn on lap number 1 under the bridge. And now they hang on the skid pin as they try to turn as well as possible and as tightly as possible. Look at that, all 4 boats coming into the turn. That is hydroplane racing, a gorgeous shot. Bud Griffin, Joe Ritchie, Miller, and the Bud Turbine. Coming down the main straightaway now past the bridge. Sometimes you wonder if they ever get around the pilings of those bridges. As you can see, one of the boats even went outside of the piling. I think it was possibly the Bud Turbine. Here's the Miller American, Bernie Little, trying to keep one of his Bud boats out in front. Don't think he likes what he sees right now. Ooh, the Bud Turbine flying into that turn. Let's see who comes out of this turn now in first place. Looks like the Miller American going out wide. The Bud Griffin on the inside. Yes, it is. Chip Hanauer, going after his 20th career victory, has taken over first place, going down the back straightaway. The speeds for the first lap rather slow, 117, 116. And now the Miller American beginning to pick it up. Close to 130 miles per hour as the Miller American beginning to take charge with Chip Hanauer aboard. This is one of the best turning boats in the business. It seems almost oblivious to choppy water. It showed us that in Detroit. That's the Cellular 1 of Louisville that the Miller American is about to go around now. Todd Yarling getting to his first final heat in Madison in 4 years. With the Miller American in control and going at a lap speed of better than 130 miles per hour. First place, Miller American, Chip Hanauer. The 2 beer boats going for second and third. Fourth place, Spirit of America, and back to the Miller American. If Hanauer should indeed get a victory today, as I said earlier, he would join a very elite group. Bill Muncy and Dean Chenoweth, the only drivers ever to win more than 20 races. Of course, Muncy 62, Chenoweth 25 races, and now Chip Hanauer a chance to win number 20. The Bud Griffin beginning to slow down a little bit. Scott Pierce trying to keep the Griffin engine going. He's in third place. And again, Chip Hanauer, as the skid fin does its job, made of solid aluminum, and it holds the boat into the lane as it comes around the turn and heads down the straightaway again. He won the Gold Cup a week ago. He had his problems in Miami about 3 weeks ago, but now has a chance to win his second straight race of 1986. Second place, Jim Kropfeld beginning to knock on the door now in the Budweiser Turbine. Third place, the Budweiser Griffin and Scott Pierce. Hanauer now 32 years of age. 5 straight gold cups. The defending world champion from 1985. Jim Crofeld, the world champion in 1984 in the old Budweiser that came out before this Budweiser Griffin. On the left, as you see Scott Pierce going around, the Cellular One of Louisville, and Todd Garling aboard. 5 laps on this final. After each boat ran at least 3 times in the preliminary heats, but only 3 laps each time. The Bud Griffin lapping the Cellular One of Louisville. And Chip Hanauer, everything going his way. The Miller American team on a roll as they go after their 2nd straight victory. Listen how quiet it is when he's out there alone. Oh, look at Jim Crofeld getting everything he can out of this boat as he pushes the Miller American, hoping that possibly Hanauer could break and Crofeld could pick up the victory. Third place going to the Budweiser Griffin, Scotty Pierce, and they'll take the boat back to Seattle. We'll see it again in Tri-Cities in about 3 weeks. The Miller American coming down the main straightaway in front of better than 100,000 fans coming in from Cincinnati, Louisville, much of Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, the tri-state area to watch unlimited hydroplane racing as you see Jim Crofeld getting way up on the left spots and going into the first turn. The Ohio River not kind to that boat or any of the boats for that matter. Look at the choppy water out there. 2, 3, 4-foot rollers. And it's all racing choppiness. It's not from the weather. It's just plain from the boats. The Joe Ritchie Spirit of America hanging on to 4th place. 5th place, the Cellular One of Louisville. Under the bridge, Chip Hanauer out of Seattle, Washington, about to get his 2nd straight checkered flag, his 2nd straight win in 1986. The Miller American winner of the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup. 2nd place, Jim Crofeld and the Bud Turbine, still the national point leader, by the way, despite not winning. The celebration continues at the Miller American camp. So a perfect day comes to an end for the Miller American team. 4 races, 4 first places, and 1,600 points. And getting ever so close to the Budweiser Turbine, the national points leader so far. The Bud Griffin 3rd place, Joe Ritchie Spirit of America. Great start by Tom Deeth and the Cellular One Louisville with 802 points today. Let's hear from the winner, Chip Hanauer.
Well, Chip, the last 2 heats, you had races in both. This one, you had to battle the Griffins at the start and then the double Buds at one point.
Yeah, they were throwing some stuff at me together there at the start. They were ganging up on the 1-minute gun. Made it real hard. But I knew the boat could take care of everybody except for maybe Jim. And I just wanted to key on him, make sure I had him covered. So worked out great.
This is one of those where it's a good thing it was 5 laps, though, as opposed to the 3 laps you were running earlier in the day. You actually needed them.
Yeah. I think 3 laps would never be good for a final. You know, it just, I think a finalist should reward good driving and a well-prepared boat. You need 5 laps, I think, to show all that stuff.
This is getting boring. I mean, it was so matter-of-fact today. You guys are the only guys that seem to be relaxing in this heat.
I'm glad you think it was matter-of-fact, because, you know, I don't know. It never gets any easier. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, but I don't know. Every final heat just takes a big toll on me.
Chip Hanauer, the winner here. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Back to you, Don.
A final comment from Madison, Indiana, after this. In Madison, Indiana, a final comment and an impression from our newest member of the broadcast team, Lou Gallos.
Don, my thoughts really don't center on the final heat itself, but the 3 previous heats. 3 laps apiece, a new format being tried by the URC, and it proved to be successful. The last heat, 3B, even had a lead change, even though it was only 3 laps. And the interesting thing about that is it kept the boats closer, kept the prospect of an actual race more intact than when these boats get stretched out over 5 laps. I think it'll be interesting to see if they don't adopt this same format in later races through the circuit.
And as Chip Hanauer celebrates, by the way, lap 2 on that final heat, 130.2 miles per hour, a new course record. Final comment from Jim Hendrick.
Well, so the Budweiser Indiana Governor's Cup is now history. I guess what's more important besides fast speeds and good competition, which is important, is the fact that it was a safe race. All the drivers are here, and I'll head down to Evansville, Indiana, for the 4th race of 1986. That's about the story from here, Don.
And as Jim put it so aptly, we have very little time before the next race. We go on to Evansville, and we'll be there for you. For Jim Hendrick and Lou Gallos, I'm Don Poyer. Thanks for joining us, and so long.